Providing insights to help you grow your business, improve yourself, and add value to those around you. You're listening to the Success is a Choice podcast, where you get a peek into the lives of industry leaders as they share their stories with you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Success is a Choice Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Jamy Bechler, and we have a special episode today. Normally, I'm interviewing one expert, one really smart person. Today, we have a whole bunch of them. So this is a really, it should be a very insightful episode. We appreciate all of you joining us on the Success is a Choice Podcasting Network. Whether you're watching this on the audio or watching this on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, LinkedIn, maybe you're listening to this on the audio podcast, we appreciate it. So we're going to just jump into this. The panel today is a whole bunch of high school athletic administrators, and they're joining us because we have the National Athletic Directors Conference coming up very soon in Orlando, Florida. This is the big deal for high school athletic administrators, and so we wanted to get a few people on that kind of know a little bit how the sausage is made, that is kind of in the background working to make this conference great. And they're going to tell us a little bit about it. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but also kind of give us a 30,000 foot view of who they are, but then also kind of tell us what they're maybe looking forward to the most going to the conference here in Orlando here in coming up very shortly. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Valerie from down in Florida. So Valerie, tell us a little bit who you are and maybe what you're looking forward to the most about the conference this year.
All right. Good morning, Jamie. Valerie.Miyares, Director of Athletics for the School District of Palm Beach County. We are the 10th, maybe 11th largest school district in the nation. So I have the pleasure and honor of working with 26 high schools and a number of middle schools. It comes out to about 62 or 63 schools. And it's an exciting and very fast moving job to have, but grateful for it. I will say that the National AD Conference that is wonderfully hosted by the NIAAA and the National Federation is most certainly our pinnacle event as an athletic administrator. It is something I think that we all look forward to from people, from all points across the country and now even internationally with the global presence that we're having at the conference with athletic administrators, whether it's from American schools overseas or just overseas schools looking to, kind of see what we do here in the States. And it's an exciting time. I'm vice chair of the host committee this year with it being in Florida. There's 12 of us that are athletic administrators. We are super excited to invite everyone to Orlando and in 2 years to Tampa. And I'm most looking forward to reconnecting with great friends. 2 of them are here on these little boxes here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them. But networking, meeting people, understanding that you're not alone in your fight, in your challenge, and in your success, I think is the most important thing when you go to the national conference. So thank you again for having me.
Well, I'll jump right in. DAMIAN FRASSINELLI. I'm the athletic director for Stafford Public Schools in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. It is a tiny speck compared to what Valerie just talked about with all of her student athletes, but I love it here in Stafford. I currently serve as the president of the board of directors for the NIAAA, so I'm excited to be out in front and speaking to all the people that are going to come. Valerie touched on a few things. I used to serve on the conference advisory committee, and the evaluations, the number one thing was always networking and learning. So lunch and learn, talking and trading, all those things were designed to be together, to get something to eat as well, and to learn more from your colleagues as well. We've got some 50 leadership training courses, 40 plus workshops. You can't help but walk away with some great information from here, truly. And, the camaraderie is fantastic. You'll go back. Most people that I've talked to that ever attended one, they've attended every one since that one. because it's so inviting. And again, the hope sometimes for people is to just take away one thing. Well, I think you're going to take away a whole lot, but it's an honor to be, out in front. Lisa serves on our board as well. She's awesome. She has a little whoop whoop from Virginia all the time. She's fantastic. But Jamy, thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Damian. Kelli?
Thank you so much, Jamy, for having me on today. I'm the Director of Athletics for Henry County Schools, which is Metro Atlanta school district, and we have 21 schools, 10 high schools, 11 middle schools that I have the opportunity to serve, and athletic directors in those schools that I take very seriously for their professional development. So encouraging them to attend the conference certainly is my number one priority. But my message to them and to anyone who is attending the conference is be intentional about your own professional development. Really pouring over that course catalog, when the conference comes out, and selecting carefully what it is that will help you to serve your school and community better, in the ways of strengthening your skill set. One thing that I, agree with the smaller opportunities, the workshops, the talking and trading sessions, that's when you really can create some meaningful and long-lasting relationships because of the intimacy of those groups and chatting. And think about it. Those people selected those workshops just like you did. And so they have an interest in growing their knowledge or skill set in those particular areas. I would also like to say to not overlook the app itself. It's a great connecting tool to be able to see other people who are signed up for the conference and to be able to reach out to them directly. We're all about those direct messages, right? So if you're not able to attend a workshop because of scheduling, you're attending another or a particular topic that you wanted to be a part of and couldn't, reach out to that workshop instructor and get whatever materials were shared so that you can grow even further. And I would also say, again, finding those little moments during socials, during exhibit hall time, see what people are congregating around, what topics are being discussed, what can you learn from those impromptu conversations, and what can you bring to the table in those conversations. I think those are valuable, not to be overlooked moments of development as well. And then probably one of the things that I always ask when I'm in sessions is, why are you in this class? What attracted you to this particular class or this workshop, so that you can get to know people even better. But the number one reason that I absolutely love the national conference is the level of professionalism of everyone who is involved, not only the host committees, the conference advisory committee, the attendees. Everyone is there to get better. And sometimes in our worlds where we are working to develop coaches, we're moving that needle across the spectrum from, what I call crusty coach to athletic administrator, and changing that mindset. And so it rejuvenates me to be in and among more of the needle on the side of the athletic administrator population. Gives me a little bit more oomph to be able to work with and love on my crusty coaches.
Perfect. Lisa, Damian said you're the whoop whoop girl.
Whoop whoop. Good morning, everyone. Lisa.Corprew, Bayside High School, Virginia Beach, Virginia, where it's always a great day to be a Marlin. Thanks for having me, Jamy. I am currently serving as the Section 2 rep on the NIAAA board. I got my start in the state association, the VIAAA, and being surrounded with great leaders. When you first come into the profession, you don't really understand what's going on or the significance of professional development. And in our position, we really have the state conference and the national conference gives us an opportunity to take some things away. And the one time, like Damian said, that you get to go and attend and you find out that we always feel like we're on an island alone in our profession. So when you go and you get to meet 2,500 other people from around the world that are experiencing the same thing that you are, you get great connections for information that you need. It's the best opportunity ever. And like at the state conference, you always see the same people. At the national conference, it's the one time that you get to meet that one friend that you see maybe once a year, and you get to make that connection again and again and again. And it circulates around the country. My dad's motto is always that we're not put on this earth to see through one another, and we're here to help see one another through. And unlike coaches that are competing all the time, as athletic administrators, we are always willing to share the content and information that we've learned throughout our careers. So this is a perfect opportunity for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was a college coach for a lot of years, Lisa, and coaches don't like to share stuff as much. They always have that kind of competition mindset in the back of their mind. But I love how athletic directors have more of a they're a group, they're a fraternity, a sorority, there's camaraderie there. You're all going through the same issues. So I like that you're much more willing to share. David from Vermont, introduce yourself. What you're looking forward to most about this year's conference?
Yeah, my name's David.Marlow, Director of Student Activities, Mount Mansfield Union High School in snowy Jericho, Vermont. Honestly, the biggest thing is the weather. Orlando is going to be a lot warmer. Even if it's 60 degrees, that's about 40 degrees warmer than what it is currently right now in Vermont. So we'll take that as a win. I currently serve as the Vice President of our state association. I serve on 3 different national committees through the NIAAA. And also part of the national faculty. So looking forward to a lot of the professional development, similar to what the other folks here on this call have said, professional development and relationships. The beauty of going to these things is you get to meet a variety of new people that you see on calls or you read about in the newsletters and magazines, and you get to actually have a face-to-face conversation with them, and that personal relationships is key moving forward. It kind of rejuvenates you to get back to your high schools and to keep working on improving your culture and in your community.
Now, David, I just watched White Christmas again, and they talk about Vermont. It must be beautiful this time of year with all the snow.
Yeah, we're getting there.
You're getting beautiful.
Yeah, we're getting beautiful. As after December 25th, the snow can go away as far as I'm concerned. But our Alpine and Nordic ski teams are super excited for it. So that's all that matters.
And Valerie, you one of your biggest headaches is your Alpine and Nordic ski teams, right?
Yeah, it's really tough. We have very few locations for us to put those teams for Nordic and Alpine skiing.
Expensive travel. Really expensive travel.
I mean, our cross-country ski teams, it's just a headache every year with the parent complaints that we can't find some place for them in Palm Beach. But I'm going to hook up with David, when we get there, and he's going to share with me some tips and techniques for how I can get them where they need to go.
Well, a number of you mentioned the sessions in the classes and that kind of stuff. There's 50 plus, I think, Damian, you mentioned. What are some what's one class that you would promote, recommend? Maybe it's your own, so you want to do some shameless self-promotion, but what's a class that you think, man, this might be a secret class, or not a secret class, but a class that you might not think about, but maybe that's one that you want to check out, or a speaker that you want to check out, or whatever. Give us promote 1 or 2 courses that you think would be good to check out.
Is that going to me, Jamie?
Yeah, sure.
So there's a few really workshops, because again, if you will, they're quick hitters, right? And you can get a lot. And again, Kelly mentioned it before, reaching out to whoever put on the workshop for the materials, but about mid-January, they will be available through the NFHS website under resources and the NIAAA website as well. So you can go and get all of the workshops and all their PowerPoints and everything else that were presented. So There are a few developing female athletes into future leaders. Jean Ashen is tremendous. She is legendary in what she does. That's a great class. We've got another one that talks about the relationship between the principals and the athletic department. Donna Haywood from Connecticut was the principal of the year. She's going to give some great insight. I'll throw a shout out to Mike McGurk is putting on one that is talking about the transition from middle school to high school. So they are, again, quick hitters. There's 5 in each cluster. Some are repeated, but there are a million great ones. Mental health for the student athlete and so on, and also too, some of the NIL workshops as well. That's going to be very helpful.
I'll go next if no one else is anxious to jump in. I always get excited about the lunch and learns. I feel like that's the biggest networking opportunity because you're sitting in that session with people side by side, getting to learn something about that specific workshop during the lunch and learn. So that's my all-time favorite.
I personally really enjoy that legal year in review. We don't want to be at the center of any of those cases that are discussed. And, here in Georgia, we always talk about learning from other people's mishaps. Certainly don't want that for any of our colleagues, but it's an excellent way to put eyes on things, in a proactive, preventative nature. And, Jamy, because you mentioned it, shameless plugs. I'm working with Kevin Grooms, athletic director for Bibb County Schools here in Georgia. We have an ongoing development of a professional learning community between 2 school districts. And so we have a workshop that will show the ins and outs of how we created that infrastructure and framework. And also under the direction of the amazing Dr. Jim Wright, I've been part of the author team in developing 717. And we all deal with change in athletic administration. And we all understand how difficult it is to have people go through a change. So anybody that wants to develop their skill set and tools on that, highly recommended 717.
Yeah, I would say kind of piggyback off what has already been said. The workshops, I think, are key. I mean, you get so much in such a short period of time. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have one on coaching evaluation and supervision with Darren Howard from Illinois. So we'll be presenting on that and just our take on that. And it's kind of an out of the box approach that we use with our coaching staffs, and we both found out that we both do it very similarly, so it kind of worked out really well. In terms of classes, 706, the coaching coaches to be leaders in education, they have like an all-star cast of authors and presenters in that. That's one that I recommend to every AD in Vermont to take almost immediately, just because I feel like it's such a core course. For my shameless plug, I co-teach 628, which is the mental health for student athletes, which I think is, at the foremost importance right now, for all of our student athletes and our coaches and staffs. And I'm excited to be able to talk about the programs we run here at the high school in Jericho to help, support our mental health for student athletes. So you can't really go wrong. You choose any of the workshops or any of the courses offered. I think, you're going to leave with something.
Just to jump in, the LTI courses I just think are essential. The idea that you get to sit in a room and, it might be 10 people, it might be 50 or 60 people, but the course offering, the amount of courses that are offered is incredible. And there's just more and more coming. We're currently, there's a group of us working that Dan Talbot from Polk County is leading with dealing with tragedy. And, we're dealing with a number of things, at the high school level that are unusual or just have become a lot more than what we've ever dealt with in the past. And that's violence at games and, tightening security or the passing of a coach or the passing of someone on a team. here in Florida, we deal with the elements. And so we've been seeing Category 5 storms coming through our states, and, gymnasiums being wiped out, schools being wiped out, and how do we handle that? And so that, those types of things where you can sit in a room and it's wonderful. The facilitators, those that are teaching the course are great, but really what the best part of the LTI is just the opportunity to hear from those that are in the class when the topics come around and some of the unique circumstances that show up on their campuses, because it's things that sometimes just makes you shake your head. Sometimes it makes you laugh, and sometimes it makes you pull that person afterwards and say, okay, how'd you handle this? Because I've never really dealt with that. But, really the other beauty of the LTIs is the fact that it leads to certification. And I think that is really an important part of it. It helps you gain points, for when you want to become a certified athletic administrator or a certified master athletic administrator. And those are essential pieces to have. Like when I look at athletic administrators and I receive resumes, when I see that they have the CAA or the CMAA designation, I know that this is somebody that's really committed to the craft and to what we do on a daily basis. And so I really would like to encourage people, take 2 courses. I know they're 4 hours. I know it's sometimes 7:30 in the morning. I know sometimes it's 6 o'clock at night. And there's a lot of other things going on like college and NFL football, and people want to be around at that stuff. But please consider that. It's really a great and wonderful experience and something that can lead you to other opportunities in your career.
Well, let's transition into networking. That's a big deal. Getting to know new people, working on the relationships you have with current people. Let's talk a little bit about maybe the first time, this is the first time you've gone to the conference. How can you network? Tips, strategies for networking. Maybe you're a veteran, and you want to up your networking game or whatever. Let's start with Lisa, and then we'll go to Kelly, since I know that I believe that you guys have to jump off this a little bit early. So let's start with Lisa and Kelly for networking tips or any other tips that you have, since you guys have to, I think, jump off early.
So I know it's important to me, but not everyone. So I like to network by exchanging my state pin. It is my goal to collect all the pins from all the different state associations. I think I'm out of my list. I'm missing 2 to have a complete set. So that's my goal. And it's good to catch up with the people that are excited about exchanging pins. So that's just my one little way that I network at each of the conferences. One of the athletic directors in the state, he taught me how to do that and to navigate through and meet some new people from across the country. So that's the one way that I network, is by the pin exchange. And then there's also a little, like a workshop, a session for the pin exchange right outside the vendors area. So it's a cool way to get to meet new people.
So you got to let us know what are the 2 pins that you're missing? What states?
I'm missing Kansas, and I can't remember my second one. I have to pull up my list to tell you. Sorry.
Well, definitely, if you're listening to this and you're from Kansas, you need to seek out Lisa. First one, Lisa said there's. Yeah, Lisa said, I believe offline, she just gave me a comment. She's going to give $1,000 to the first person from Kansas. I'm kidding.
It comes in the form of a check that may be bouncy.
A big check too, a really, really big check. But I appreciate that. That's really cool. That's Kelly. Any networking tips that you have?
I think, as I'm sitting here with 2 members, that I've had the fortunate interactions with in the past, because of someone referring me to being on the National Advisory Committee. And then, another, Dan Polk connected me with Valerie earlier, just someone else connected me with Dan. So, being intentional again about those connections, like when you've met someone really cool, not keeping them all to yourself, but introducing them to other people so that other people can find the value in them that you have found. That's one of my favorite things about networking at the conference. Talking with someone and finding that someone else that has a similar interest or has had a similar problem or issue, and being able to connect to those people. That's fun for me, which expands your network even further, because invariably they then share somebody with you. So I like that exchange tremendously. And again, just like Valerie mentioned, the professionalism, growing your craft, and I highly value that. In fact, in our district, our high school athletic directors are required to get their CAA, and we pay a stipend once they have. So we really put that at a premium. And the best way to do that process is by learning from other people that have done that process. So the networking is incredible. And as you said, I do regretfully have to jump off to go to another meeting, but thank you so much for having me on here today. As always, in the company of amazing professionals, I've taken notes and learned something from the people that are on this call today.
Thanks, Kelli. Anyone else? Ideas for networking, tips for networking?
So one quick one, if you will, right after the opening general session, there is a general social right outside, and it was heavily attended last year. Great job by the conference advisory committee. I think they served some beverages and some snacks, so that's a good time. And I'll look for the time frame, but there's a workshop on how to get involved nationally. So that's a good one to go to. Talks about how to get on committees and what to do. And then the last one is, don't sit with the people that you know, unless they're from some other state. Go sit with someone you don't know from some other state. And that's how it starts, right? When you're in a workshop or a class and you're sitting at a round table, same thing. If you're going to grab a snack, I know it's breaking the barriers, right? Coming out of your comfort zone where, maybe back home, it's like, I'm going to sit by myself or whatnot. No, go sit with someone new. And I'm telling you, by the end of the meal, you're going to be friends. You're going to be connected in the future. So those are some tips.
Thanks, Damian.
I think it's important also for the other side of the spectrum, people that are new to the conference. It can be overwhelming. It is so beautiful there. I mean, I think people are shocked by how it's set up, and just the signage alone, I'm always floored by the uniqueness and the creativity of showing our brand as athletic administrators through that. But it can be overwhelming because I think, when we show up to our state AD conferences, those are all very nice and well done. And I'll say that as president of FIAAA. Well, when you show up to the national conference, 20 years into this, and I am still taking pictures, and I am still, doing a number of things. But I think, for the administrator that might not be part of a large district or a private school or a charter school and doesn't have really a team around them, don't be afraid. Listen, learn, but talk with somebody, exchange an email address, whatever it is. Start getting your feet wet. But the lines, the amount of people, it can be a little bit of a shock when you first walk in because it is a big production. So my advice would be, don't be overwhelmed. Take a deep breath, embrace it, and find some things that really interest you, and some good people will come along with that.
Yeah, to piggyback off Valerie too, they have that first time attendee workshop. Last year in Nashville, we had almost 900 first time attendees, and I think it was roughly 750 of them were in that workshop. And I am fortunate enough to actually replace Damian on the advisory committee for Section 1 as the rep. So, being able to attend that workshop, it almost makes it more feasible for the rest of the week. It sets the tone for the conference and allows those who haven't attended before to kind of get their feet wet without being too overwhelmed.
Are there some don'ts? We just talked a little bit about the networking do's. Are there some networking don'ts or some things that you just shake your head about, or pretty much everyone's pretty professional, everyone's pretty cool, and you never see any issues with in the networking area?
Well, I do have one don't. Sometimes it's too easy to use school funds to not take advantage of all the offerings at the national conference. So everything is usually finished by 6 p.m. So don't blow off the workshops every single day. Try to find a way to grow each time, every day of the conference that you're in attendance.
So in other words, don't overly network. Don't blow off all the sessions and just go out and have a drink and network 100% of the time.
My recommendation.
I think there's always a number of don'ts, some suitable for the podcast and some not. But I think it's important to, remember, as Lisa's saying, you're on a school district trip, and to maintain composure. But with that being said, networking is a funny thing. It's almost, you dive into it however you want, really. And I think as long as you're cordial and professional, be fine. I think everybody's got their own approach to how they want to interact and engage with people. But I'd say as long as you're willing to communicate, I think it's a good thing. Just make sure that you're communicating in a way that if your principal or your soup or your deputy soup was around, that they'd be proud of you for.
No, and it's a good point. And I think Kelly mentioned it before, the crusty coach or whatnot. I always publicize the national conference, whether it's the best of the best that are there or just the people that want to be better. They're going there to do good things. It's not the person that's going to, gripe and groan. It's the person that wants to learn and how to make things better when they go back. So it really is a group that, for the most part, is positive. So really, if you stumble upon anybody, they're there for the same reason you are, and it's to get better, to learn, and sort of, expand your network, right? And so it's really mostly, I've not seen anything really negative. So I trust in the directive of these folks coming out to be better.
I'm sorry, can I get my shameless plug before I have to run? I found my pen collection list. I'm missing Alabama and Montana.
All right.
Thank
So you do have Kansas.
I do have Kansas.
Okay, so Alabama and Montana people, the money is up for grabs. First one to find Lisa. Yeah, this is awesome. That's awesome. Lisa, we appreciate you jumping on this call. We look forward to seeing you in Orlando.
Thank you, guys. Safe travels to everyone. See you.
See you, Lisa.
Thanks. Well, speaking of Orlando, and Valerie, you're the only one from Florida that's on this call. But if anyone has been to Orlando or have read up on Orlando, is there any tips or tricks about Orlando?
Yeah, so we have just a couple things to do in Orlando. It's not a terribly busy place. A lot of, there's just nothing going on there. But I think that one of the things that always surprises people when they come to the national conference and it's in Orlando is that the hotel can be a little further away. It's not in a big metropolitan area like how when we're, in Denver or other places, and you can walk around. And so, I always like to give the advice that if you have the budget and ability to do it, for here, renting a car would definitely be a positive or a plus to get you. The conference hotel is nearby to Disney and Disney Springs, Universal, and SeaWorld. There's also a couple large outlet malls, very close to the hotel as well, a plethora of restaurants and things to do. Also, it's holiday time. So, people, that may not be able to go into some of the theme parks, because it's holiday time. I think it's good to know that Disney Springs and City Walk are beautifully decorated at Universal and at Disney at this time of year. And there's just plenty of photo opportunities and things to do if your family comes with you. So please, I hope that among all the learning, the listening, the networking, that you also take some time to see our beautiful city of Orlando. And we are really excited to have everyone here. The golf tournament is going to be going on as well. And I know people are excited about that, especially people like David that already have a dusting of snow on the ground, maybe want to come out and hit the links a little bit. But there's a lot to do here. So we're really looking forward to having people come to Central Florida for this.
Well, the hotel is huge. It's I believe the world's largest Marriott, and it's I have here, I don't know if you can see this very well on YouTube or whatever, but I have my pin, my Marriott pin. I snagged a couple of these the last time I was at a conference at that place. So I'm hoping that they have some more because I really enjoy these pins. I know I'm crazy. These are not pins like Lisa is collecting. I collect nice writing pins, and Marriott has some really good writing pins.
I'm sure you'll find a few laying around there.
Jamie, if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a little tidbit here that the DEIB committee does a tremendous job, and they have a speaker coming in, and I'll butcher his name, I'm sure, Asu Mahat, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Officer of the Orlando Magic. He's going to speak at their fellowship on Sunday night at 7. I think that's going to be fantastic. I'm going to get to it myself. That committee does a great job. I've seen some of his stuff. He's great. So that's a plug, maybe a little find off the beaten path. It says Crystal Salon J1, but we'll have our app and we'll find that location.
So I'm a newbie, let's say. Well, literally, I am a newbie. This will be my first foray into the National Athletic Directors Conference. It'll be my first trip there. But if you're an athletic director, this is your first time there. It was mentioned that it can be overwhelming, long lines, lots of people. What should I do? Like literally, practically, as an AD, it's my first time. I get there, I get to the hotel, I see these lines. What should I be doing? I'm waiting in line. I'm going to get my packet. How do I decide where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do from here?
Go ahead, Val.
I think it's important to be prepared, just like as if we were doing contest management or something. I think you apply that to your time at the conference. And so there's, early bird time for registration, arrive to your sessions and your classes 10 to 15 minutes early so that you can be scanned in, you can receive your materials, you can find a seat, you can get a seat, maybe you want to grab a cup of coffee or do something like that, but be early and be present. I think as far as the lines go, really, we're just going to be dealing with that at registration, people, showing up and when that is. Otherwise, there's lots of doors open, and things for the other sessions. And I think that people would be fine with that, but it's giving yourself the appropriate amount of time. It takes a little bit to get from your hotel rooms to the conference area. And for people that are using the partner hotels, I think it's important to know at the Marriott World Center, there is a parking garage, then you have to hop a shuttle, and the shuttle then brings you over to the hotels. So, making sure that people build in the appropriate amount of time is going to really be part of their success. So, Damian, if you want to jump in.
So, and Val's correct 100%. The lines for the conference go real fast, right? I mean, there may be a line at the coffee shop, that's the conference hotel, but our conference, the early bird registration, again, the board gets out there and mingles and helps. We go through that incredibly fast. So it may seem like a long line, but it may only take 15, 20 minutes, and we just went through a couple of hundred people. So, and also to going into an event, they're going to scan your badge to make sure you go in. It's going to be a short line. Those will not really take up too much of your time. But one suggestion for anybody who's new, put a bottle of water in your bag, put a power bar, put some snacks, because, it may be a bit of a walk to go grab something to eat. So you may need something quick to tide you over. I know the board did last year. I had to give some, my snacks, and I was happy to have them. But so those little tidbits. But again, you also can map out on your app where you would like to go and in relationship of where you want to go. So, sort of map it out, but definitely take time to take care of yourself, honestly, with some water, some food, because you can just go straight through and be like, wow, I haven't eaten in a long while. So, just a little bit, throw some snacks in your bag.
Just one other thing, when after you register, you're going to receive an email with a QR code that you can scan, or it's a barcode, and that's how they're going to be able to print. They're going to be able to get all your materials at registration, and that's one of the things. If you can have that pulled up, in your phone and in your email and ready, that's going to get you through a lot quicker. But it's amazing. You scan that, everything gets printed. They hand it to you. I mean, you are in and out of there in 15 to 20 seconds. So having that pulled up in your email and ready to go is a big thing. I know that there were some issues where people maybe don't have a work phone or don't have their work email going to their phone. You can share your registration to a personal email if that's easier for you. So just a little bit of heads up there, and there'll be board members and people in the line reminding people to grab that out of their email.
We've talked a lot about the sessions and networking. There's another big area or another big thing going on, which is vendors, checking out different partners of the NFHS and the NIAAA. Any suggestions or thoughts about utilizing and maximizing your time with the vendors?
There's the passport game. First of all, to get you around the room, go through so your state. Val talked about state conference, but this is that on steroids. Everybody is there with everything. I've taken advantage of some conference discounts. Obviously, they're willing to pony up because they're there to chat with you and set up a relationship, which is fantastic. So, stop by. That's the other line, Val, that I was going to say. And David, the one to redeem your gift. That's always a long line. So there's other times that it will be available. So if that line is real long, just check out some vendors, loop back around, and then go back into the line for the gift. But the vendors are great. They continue to support us. Hopefully it'll be in a great location that's easy to navigate through, but you got your passport book in your hard copy, and you can check them off and see if you can win a prize.
The exhibit hall is a small city. It is most of the time, I think all of us are in our Nikes or New Balances anyways when we're at the conference, but that would be a good thing, and the exhibit hall is laned out by letters, by numbers. So if there's a specific vendor that you're looking to find, you'll be able to correlate that. If you look at the ceiling, there'll be signage there, so people will be able to easily find. But people should be prepared that it's almost like a market in a downtown city. As you're walking through, people are going to stop you and can I scan your badge? Where are you from? Can I talk to you? And they're there, they're also trying to network and trying to earn some business as well. And so anyone that's coming into the exhibit hall, know that it's going to have its own certain level of tempo and intensity in there. It's a great place, though. I will say about the conference gift, because this year it is a wearable. It's a quarter zip, I believe, right? And so if you want to ensure that you receive a certain size, you're going to want to get there, during the early first offering of that. And there's also door prizes in the exhibit hall as well, where the vendors hand things out, and your name as an attendee can be called for that. And us on the Florida Host Committee have Florida athletic administrators and other folks ready to assist to help you find that door prize and so that you can take that home with you. But the vendor hall is an awesome place. Bring purchase orders with you, like what Damian said. If you can have PO numbers or purchase orders with you, these vendors will do a conference deal. They will give you a percentage off for going ahead and making an order there. So if you are prepared with a purchase order already, you're going to make out on some good stuff.
And I know it's not my role, but David, I'm going to tee one up for you, because the first time attendees workshop, I know you were going to explain what's in the bag. So go give us a preview of what you're going to tell the new folks.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're gonna get all those deals. It's everyone gets the bag at registration, and a lot of times, you end up rummaging through and picking out. But there's a lot of different discounts and deals that can be found in that bag from specific vendors as well. And it's important to go through every piece of paper and look it through and look at it. I mean, they're there for a reason, kind of like what Damian said earlier about all the ADs, professionals there for a reason. The vendors are there for a reason too. And I think it's important to give them your time. The booklets and the pamphlets inside your registration bag will have the details of the vendors and where to find them, the map of the town or the city market / small city downtown. And it's great. And you end up building relationships with those people that you talk with on a daily basis, or, monthly, they call you or email you. You get to see them in person and have that relationship and have that conversation. I know myself, there's certain vendors that have sent me gifts after my kids have been born, and those relationships have been built through the national conference. And I think that's an important piece of the pie as well. Whether you do the passport or not, it's nice to go out there and give them your time.
Well, we'll finish up just kind of closing thoughts, maybe something you haven't said already, or some just general tips, advice, or something you just want to reemphasize. So we'll go ahead and start with Valerie and Damian, and then we'll finish up with David.
You've already made a great choice by coming to the conference. Now it's time to utilize the time appropriately. And while Orlando and some of the cities that we host in are very exciting and offer a lot, you're here for a reason. You've chosen to come to this. So I think we've talked about a lot of great things. I think some of the things, one of the other things I just want to note is that every state has its own section. There are section meetings. It's great to attend those section meetings so you can learn about what's in your pocket of 7, 8, 9 different states and what's going on, and you can meet some of the leadership that are, acting as liaison between your state and the NIAAA and the Federation. So don't be afraid to go into some of those, mid-area size meetings that are open to all of the, the attendees, and to have a great time. This is something that we all look forward to on an annual basis. I can't stress that enough. We have when it's not in Florida, by September, there's already a group of us from Florida getting on the same flights. Who's renting the cars? It is just such a wonderful time. So be excited about coming to this, and don't be afraid. I think that's gonna be my biggest bit is don't be timid here. Come on in and let people meet you and get to know you a little bit.
Great advice, Val. And I'll piggyback a little bit on that. Everyone's there to be helpful, no question. You see one of us who are board members in our blue blazers, we're everyone else, right? I mean, we're just ADs that happen to be on the board, and we get to help everyone. And so stop us, ask us questions. Val and her host committee will have a booth that you can stop by and ask questions and ask about the conference and or the local area. They're warm and welcoming, no question about it. And one plug that I will give is to the banquet on Tuesday night, right? The luncheon is fantastic the day before, and lots of people show. But the more people we get to the banquet, where we have, DSA, Award of Merit, Kovaleski, Tom Frederick Award, and the Hall of Fame, right? So let's give back to those folks. I know it's sometimes tough. People got to get back for that Tuesday night, sporting event. But if you're there, please attend the banquet. It's wonderful. And, we're celebrating the best of the best that are being inducted in the Hall of Fame and being recognized on a large scale. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, and I think the last thing is, don't be afraid to take time for yourself while you're down there as well and kind of rejuvenate yourself. I mean, we joked early on, it's cold. Damian's going to feel the temperatures in Connecticut soon too, where it gets cold and the frigid winters can be long. But, take some time for yourself to rejuvenate and kind of, recalibrate yourself for coming back to your high schools. And the more information you can get and the more connections you can make, I think are key in making this successful.
Jamy, can I add one thing? I'm sorry. So we also have some spouse and guest activities. So for anyone that is bringing a spouse or a guest with them, this has become a lot of larger numbers have been joining us in the spouse and guest activities. Please, so don't have that person be shy. It's actually been great. Some of the female athletic administrators, we're starting to see husbands and boyfriends and men. And usually the room is dominated by women just by nature of our profession. It's been wonderful to see some other people showing up and having breakfast and taking part in the activity, but there's also a spouse guest reception. There's an activity for them. And so please, include the person that you brought with you to be a part of it, because really, let's face it, they're on your team anyways. They're the ones that are at the events. They're dealing with our issues. They're listening to us. And so this should be a fun time for them as well. So please take advantage of those activities at the conference.
Well, thank you so much to all you, Damian, David, and Valerie. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all you do for students and staff in your districts. For everybody listening to this, watching this, come up, say hi to us, introduce yourself. I will be one of those people walking around like a deer in the headlights at my first conference, being overwhelmed. So come up and say hey to me as well. Introduce yourself, but share the show. Go ahead, even if you're not coming to this episode, to the conference, share this episode with maybe an AD friend that they might pick up one or two nuggets. There were a lot more nuggets than that in this episode, but they might pick up on one or two things that they hadn't thought of before. The PO was something I would not have thought of, coming with some open purchase orders. I would not have thought of that. And so maybe there's something else that an AD will hear that they hadn't thought of as well. So feel free, share this with an athletic director friend that you know. But we appreciate you taking the time to watch this, to listen to this. Subscribe to the Success is a Choice Podcast Network if you haven't already, so that you can get notifications whenever a new episode is released. We try to provide some positive insights. But until next time, remember that success is a choice. What choice will you make today?